just wanna be free with my people to prosper and hold it down. Don't you sit and wait, contemplating on a revolution. The time is now. I just wanna be free. 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 Can't you see? I just wanna be free.
Okay. Another episode of the Things I Wish I Knew About Money podcast. I'm your host, Camille Smith, and it's a new year once y'all see it because it is a premiere, as you can see. So I'm really excited for this lovely episode that we're going to have. We have a special guest, lovely Michael Kim. I've been following him on Instagram for a good while, and we just wanted to have a discussion about being a digital nomad, and also the being in the finance world. So welcome, Michael.
Thank you, Camille. Thank you for having me here.
So I have a question. Am I able to speak some Korean to you? If I can.
Unfortunately, not. I know
Darn it.
zero Korean.
Oh
I am
no.
I'm half Korean and half Chinese, but my parents
Okay.
came to Canada when they were pretty young. So they were kind of in
Oh.
the assimilate into Canadian culture and don't speak your foreign language. So
So,
I grew up only speaking English.
OMG. So I won't say any Korean to you at all. But
안녕하세요.
oh,
That's about it.
안녕하세요.
Or 사랑해요. That's about it.
Yes. Well, that's pretty cool that your parents came early and just wanted to, stick to the culture that they were gonna raise you at. But I'm glad you're able to say a little background of yourself. But who is Michael Kim? Tell the folks who you are, sir.
Awesome. So I'm a personal finance coach, CPA, digital nomad, and TEDx speaker. And
Mhm.
my goal is really just to have and help young professionals have control over their money and their lives.
Nice. And so I know that you mentioned that you're a CPA. So which one was it first? Was it CPA or a personal finance coach?
So I would say became a personal finance coach before I got my CPA.
Okay.
So a little bit of background for me is that growing up, my family, I'm from a Korean and Chinese background, but growing up, we really struggled financially.
Mm,
So when I saw my parents struggle financially, we actually almost lost the house that we lived in. And so
wow.
from that moment, I was like, I need to learn how to effectively manage my own money so that I can take care of myself, but also
Hmm.
be able to take care of my parents. So that's essentially the reason why I decided to study accounting and finance. Not because I love numbers or I'm really good at math. I did it because I needed to learn the skills of how to manage my money. And so
Okay.
I started taking personal finance courses or accounting and finance courses in university.
Hmm.
And so by the time I graduated, I learned how to effectively manage my money.
Nice.
And I was able to build a successful coaching business, a six-figure investment portfolio, and also, you know, have control over my life essentially. But
Yeah.
then at the same time, my friends and family, they were graduating university at that time. And so I was like, they were struggling with their finances because they were never taught about how to manage their money. So
Hmm.
then that's when I decided to start helping my friends and
Okay.
family. And that's how I first got into coaching back in 2020. So around when
Okay.
COVID hit.
Oh wow, just when
Uh,
it started.
exactly.
Hmm.
And since then, after helping them become debt free, buy their first home, and essentially have control over their money and their lives, I was like, I need to share this gift of financial literacy with the rest of the world.
Absolutely. And the one thing that I that I heard you say was that you had you and your family was dealing with difficulties like almost losing a house. And was that you in the 90s or the 80s or the 90s?
I would say it's in the 90s,
In the
in the
90s. Okay.
90s, maybe early 2000s. Yeah.
Okay. So, oh yeah. So that's when like, the what was it? The tech bubble. So I think we're
Hmm.
going through a recession there. So I'm happy that, you know, I usually find that folks like usually have to go through a downfall to be able to be like, okay, this is the reason why I'm taking this path, and I'm glad that you're able to take that path and actually help people get debt free and everything. So when you first started helping like friends, because we know our lovely friends always love to get that lovely advice for free, how are you able to manage that with
Hmm.
being with your business consulting with them?
Right. So at the time in 2019, I graduated university at the Ivy Business School at Western University. And
Okay.
then I got a job in working in accounting and finance at Deloitte. So I was working there, and in school, accounting and finance wasn't that bad because at least like you're learning something new every day. But like I'm a creative. Like I am someone who loves drawing. I love art. I love music.
Yes.
And so putting me, this very creative art person, into an accounting and finance role is very, very disruptive.
Yikes.
And I was like, oh my God, this is horrible because you're like doing the same thing every single day. And so when I was working at Deloitte, I was like, I need an outlet to feel fulfilled, to feel like
Yes.
I'm actually doing something to help someone in this world. And
Very.
so when I started coaching my friends and my family, I was kind of just doing it on the side. I was meeting them after work or
Mhm.
meeting them in during my lunch break and
Wow.
just coaching them and meeting them for an hour and helping them first, not only just telling them what to do, like giving them advice like, oh, invest in this or do this, but
Mhm.
actually teaching them how they can make their own financial decisions for themselves by giving them the foundations that they need of money management, about how to
Mhm.
save, make, and invest their money.
And what was the best advice that you gave a friend and a family member that they actually followed?
Mhm. I would say the best advice that I gave. So, one of my best friends,
Mhm.
she is a very, very hard worker.
Mhm.
She got multiple degrees, is super smart, super bright,
Yeah.
and even got a job in her field.
Nice. As soon as she came
But
out of
as soon as she came out of university, and
nice.
yet she was still struggling with student debt, living paycheck to paycheck, and stuck living at home.
Mm.
And I remember when I first started coaching her, we met up in a cafe in Toronto, and she was literally crying. She
Oh.
was saying like, I don't know what I did wrong.
Mhm.
I don't know. I did everything right, right? She did everything right. She got the
Yeah.
fancy degree, she got the job, and yet
Yep.
she was still in this financial position.
Mhm.
And the reason why she was in this position wasn't because she's not smart or she's not bright. It's
Mhm.
because she was just never taught the skills of money management. And
Exactly.
so what I ended up telling her is that this is just the beginning. You
Mhm.
are learning how to manage your money and you're learning the skills of money management right now.
Yeah.
And right now is just the beginning and it's only up from here. And since then, after teaching her how to make, save, and invest her money, she's been able
Mhm.
to double her income, move out
Yes.
into her own apartment downtown Toronto. And now she even
Woo!
started a nonprofit organization because she's like, oh, I have so much time on my hands because I'm not stressed about money. I'm going to share the wealth and help other people in her community.
That's amazing. And you know what? I'm glad that you were able to, because there are different, let's say, personal finance gurus that do tough love, but it seems that you were very, what's the word?
Empathetic.
Yes, that word. About her situation and just telling her like you didn't do anything wrong. It's just that it's common that our parents and grandparents didn't know this stuff before, and it's very hard for them to teach us these things, especially when we're younger. I'm not sure in your home, but like in my home, it was always like, no, this is grown people's business. Like, don't worry about money. So I could only imagine it
Yep.
was the same for you. So I was just like, so I think it's just a common thing that happens for folks. So like they know that they have to get the job, or go to school, get the job, and just be able to live that Canadian dream because we're not in the States. Um, so I'm glad that you're able to help them break through and learn a lot from that. So okay, so you're able to have a lovely investment portfolio, have a non for profit. So, what about family? Because I feel like sometimes family is a little bit more difficult to get on the right path. What was your best advice for your family member?
Oh my
That's
gosh.
older. Can't be you're like a cousin or anything. No, they're easy.
hmm the hardest conversation, one of the hardest conversations that I had to have in my life
hmm
was sitting both of my parents down and taking a look at our finances.
hmm
Because for all of my life, and I'm 26 right now, for
Yes.
like until the age of 25, my parents never talked about money. And as you said, money was not a topic that you talk with parents. I remember asking my dad, like, oh, like, why are we like potentially having to move because we're losing our house? And he was like, don't you dare ask about money. Don't you dare ask about these things. And
Oh
then
no.
that's like
You're like,
that's
okay.
why as a kid I was like, how do I learn about money?
Yeah.
Because if I can't ask my parents about money and if they don't teach it in schools, where am I supposed
hmm
to learn how to effectively manage my money?
Exactly.
And
Wow.
so the hardest conversation that I ever had to have in my life was to sit my mom and dad down and talk about, okay, what's your retirement plan?
Mm.
How much money are you currently making right now? How much
Mhm.
money are you saving? How much debt are we currently in? And just lay everything on the table and have it completely transparent. And I think a very important, and the way that I was able to do this was because I was coming from a place of love. I wasn't doing this to
Of
shame my
course.
parents. I wasn't doing this so that I could, oh, I'm like this big, finance guy and I'm going to tell you what to do. It was
Yeah.
really out of a place of love because I really want my parents to live a happy life. I want them to be able to retire comfortably and they deserve to live that type of life. And so by approaching it that way, from not shaming them and being very empathetic to their financial situation and their
Yes.
feelings, we
Yes.
were able to work through all of their money traumas that they had growing up and actually make progress and take the required action so that they can improve their personal finances.
Mhm. And I'm glad that you said money trauma because in December because it'll be released in January. In December, I did talk about money traumas. Um, what is one money trauma that you noticed with your family, and you're able to tweak that a little bit because money trauma is a heavy one in the community, like in everyone's community.
Yeah, so a common thing that my mom says is money is evil. Money
Mm,
is evil. People who have money are evil. People who have money are greedy. You shouldn't want money. And this is one of the biggest thoughts and beliefs that actually prevent people from taking the required action to learn about their finances and improve their financial situation. Because here's the thing, when you believe money is bad and people who have money are greedy, you're subconsciously telling yourself, like, oh, I'm a good person. So, and I don't want to be a bad person.
Exactly.
So I'm going to do everything in my power to not have money. And the way that I've been able to reframe this thought and this belief that I literally grew up hearing ever since I was a child was that I realized that when I have money,
Hmm.
I can be the best version of myself. It's
Yeah.
like Maslow's hierarchy of needs. There's lower level needs like food, water, and safety. And then there's
Yeah.
higher level needs of like love and belonging and self actualization, which is like becoming the best version of yourself. And the thing is, if you want to be able to feed yourself, be able to take care of yourself, you need money. You need
Hmm.
money in order to do that. And so, if you're able to take care of your basic needs because you're so good financially and you know how to use your money to take care of yourself,
Yeah.
then now you don't have to worry about yourself. And now you could focus all of your time and energy helping others,
Exactly.
supporting others. And that's what happened to me. When
Hmm.
I learned that I was able to take care of myself financially, now I could help my friends with their
Hmm.
personal finances. Now I could help my family and my parents with their personal finances because I don't have to, I'm not starving and I'm not struggling to take care of myself.
Yeah. So I want to go back to your parents because it is so difficult. So they knew that that's what you were taking in at Western University. How long did it take from graduating to sitting down with them to say like, "Hey, I want to have this tough discussion with you." Cuz trust me, I'll make you go first and I will tell you my story.
This is a very hard conversation that anyone has to deal with their parents because growing up you're like, oh, your parents know everything, they are like the god. They
Yes.
know everything.
Mhm.
And
Mhm.
like you ask them a question and your parents should know the answer to it. But
Exactly.
our parents are just regular people, they have
Human.
their strengths and their weaknesses.
Exactly.
And as we grow as adults, we also have our strengths and our weaknesses. And some of our strengths are their weaknesses. And
Mm.
so I graduated university in 2019
Mhm.
and I had the conversation with them, I think in 2021. So it
Okay.
took me 2 years to actually have the conversation with them,
Okay.
but it didn't, it did, there was like many attempts, let's just say. And I think the reason why the attempts didn't go well was
Mhm.
because I went at it as I like started the conversation from a place of like, I need to fix all of these problems and you did all of these problems wrong, so I need to like fix it. And that made a lot of people feel hurt because they are parents, they're supposed to take
No,
care of their children, there's a lot
yeah.
of ego there. And so if you want to
Ego,
have this
yes.
conversation with your parents, you need to go at it from a place of love, as I said before, to be very aware and empathetic of their feelings so that you don't hurt their feelings and so that you can focus on making the most logical financial decision that's best for everyone.
You know, as soon as you said that, I thought back to as soon as I graduated, I was ecstatic. I was like, "Okay, guys, we're gonna sit down and we're gonna," because I'm not sure if you did that Western, but I took personal finance course and I was able to do a comprehensive financial plan. And it took me hours and I thought it was amazing. It was fun and everything. I was like, I love this. This is what I want to do. All right, the first people, my family. Come on, guys, let's sit down. We're going to do this. I don't want you to know about my money. I was like, what? but but I just did this and I know what we need to do to make it work. And you want to know, it's probably because I didn't do like tough love, like, oh, you guys did this wrong, rah, rah, rah. But I was like, no, we have to fix this. Like I can help. Like just trust me. We have this. So I should have done more attempts, and I think It wasn't until I started my business and my parents started going to workshops where my mom was able to be like, okay, a little something, something, and
Mhm.
things. So sometimes it takes them a while to like understand the motive. So I'm glad that you were able to get them there. But however, even though we have great advice, I'm not going to say what's the worst advice, but what was an advice that you provided someone and you're like, dang, if I had done more research, maybe I wouldn't have chose this decision for you.
Hmm. Well, before we get to your question, I did want to add that when we're when you were talking about helping your parents,
Hmm.
you can only help people that want to be helped.
Very, very true.
If people really don't want your help and they really don't want to listen, no
Yeah,
matter how great your advice is, no matter how much you want to help them, you can't.
it's so true.
People need to be willing
Hmm.
to learn,
Yeah.
willing to be open to new perspectives and willing to be open to take advice. And so that's a lesson that I had to learn with my sister. I was like, "Oh, I really want to help you. Like here, like do all this, do all this." And she was like who are you? Like you're my little brother. Like why would I listen to you?
That's the worst.
And so instead of telling her like, "Oh, this is what you should do," like
Hmm.
why like do it like this,
Hmm.
I decided to show her to be an example of my own work and let her come to
Yes.
me when she's ready. And so
Yes.
when I was telling her to invest and she didn't invest, I was like, "Okay, well, I'm going to invest my money and show
Mm.
her, oh, this is how like this is all of the amazing things that I can do now that I
Hmm.
can invest my money. I'm able to travel more. I'm able to, have more freedom with my life. I'm able to save so much more money."
Yeah.
And she was like, "Whoa, like my little brother just like was able to do all of these things
Yeah.
and I want to do them too." And that's when she was like, "So,
Nice.
can you help me with your personal finances?" And I'm like, "Of course, I can
Yeah.
help you.
Come have a seat.
Yeah, come have a
Little
seat.
brother.
We'll
Little
chat."
brother's gonna. Little brother's gonna show you a thing or two.
Yeah.
That's true. Leading by example is always a great way. I normally, because there's so many people that I know that is still reluctant on investing. So, but we follow each other. So like ever so often, I'm like, okay, guys, so like this stock is going up. I'm like, but do your own research. Like this is only
Hmm.
educational purposes only because at the end of the day, being a financial coach, there are certain things we can and can't do,
Yeah.
and that's some things people don't realize. But that's fine. But is there any advice that, yeah, like a just like a little advice that you're like,
Yeah. So when it comes to advice that I regret, it isn't necessarily an advice, but it's more of an approach.
okay, okay,
So
yeah, yeah, yeah,
when I
that's
was coaching my clients initially when I started my business, I was like, here are the 5 steps to invest. And like, this is all you need. And like, good luck. And like, if they follow the 5 steps, they would be investing their money. Right.
correct. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
But the thing is, when it comes to money, a lot of people are not logical when it comes to money. They are
Mm.
very emotional. For example, my client was like, I she thought and believed that investing is super risky and I'm going to lose all of my money. And when I gave her the 5 steps to invest her money, she was like, well, I'm not going to do this because I'm going to lose all my money and investing is super risky. So this is an example of how your thoughts and your emotions actually influence the actions that you take when it comes to your personal finances.
Mm-hmm.
And so after I learned that, I was like, why aren't people taking action when they have all of the information that they need to invest? And so
Yes.
that's when I decided to start coaching my clients on their thoughts and beliefs and their
Mm-hmm.
emotions around money. And then after I was able to help them start to believe that, oh, investing is for me Investing is actually not risky when you know what you're doing. And investing is a really great way to grow your wealth and make money. Once they started to believe this, then they're like, oh, yeah, I'm going to definitely implement the 5 steps to invest your money.
Nice. So I'm glad you did it that way because yes, there's certain approaches that we see online and we're like, okay, it's gonna work. Like I did it, so of course it's gonna work for them. But you're right. Like it's them believing that they're not gonna lose their money as long as they research it properly and research properly and also execute instead of stalling because we are very much so procrastinators, which is fine. And it was the example like with your sister, like your sister was like no 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 no, but then she eventually saw the proof in the pudding and she was like okay, let me do it as well. So I'm glad that you have it like that. So having a different approach for different people is very valuable. That's what I took from that, and in the emotions versus logic. And I think it's also showing people like the long term goal of it. Like yes, like if you were to start in beginning of 2020, like January, you would have washed your shirts indeed. But if you kept with it and then actually kept putting money in, you would actually see how valuable it is to be into the stock market. And then even though it's going to go up and down, if you look out 40 years ago, it's always going to go up.
Yeah.
Most of them.
What I like to say is that investing is a skill.
Mhm. Mhm.
And just like anything, if you are not good at it, then
Yes.
it is risky. For example, swimming. I used to be a swimming teacher, so I like to use this analogy.
Oh my gosh. I
If
can't
you
swim.
go, yeah, so Camille, if you go swimming in the ocean, is that risky or not risky?
So there's been many times I do take my risk and going in the ocean, but I always make sure I go up to my knees at least. But it is
Right.
risky, yes.
Right. So if you like go like deep diving into the middle of the ocean, then that's pretty risky if you don't know how to swim. But
Hmm.
if you're like Michael Phelps and if you're an amazing swimmer and you decide to go into the ocean to swim, it's
Hmm.
not that risky.
Yes.
And investing is the exact same way. A lot of people think investing is super risky and I'm going to lose all of my money because they've never learned how to actually invest their money.
Hmm.
They get their information from random people on Reddit and they watch like one YouTube video and they're like, okay, I'm going to invest my money now and I know everything. And then they lose money
Yeah,
because they don't have the skill of investing. And it's risky if you're doing something that you don't know what you're doing. But if you learn the foundations of investing, you know why you're investing, what you
hmm,
should invest in for your unique financial situation,
exactly.
investing is not risky at all.
And and I always tell folks like if you don't know anything about investing, one, first look at the stuff that you actually purchase every day and be mindful about those and take in consideration of being part owner of that company, or if you keep it really simple, S&P 500. That's like
You can't go wrong with that.
you can't. It literally is up like at the end of the year like 23-25%. Like
Yeah.
it's a no-brainer. That's like the one thing like I just and I'm not sure if that you get this feeling that there's just there's a lot of people that are scared of investing, um, but I always want to show them like just keep it really simple, and I promise you, you know, don't go for the crazy ones that you're not aware about. You got to do your research and just double check like certain things. But if you really want to keep it simple, just go with like ETFs. Like I know there's
Mhm.
people that will say, "Oh, mutual funds, GICs, index funds," but I'm like, as like the economy or technology is going, you notice that things are like kind of going into the robo advisor and stuff. And even though it's like kind of, I'm not going to say it's going to affect us ideally because people still need that personal touch and just like human interaction. But there are people that, they just want to do it themselves. And there's no shame in that as well.
Yeah, what I like to think about investing is that there's different levels of being an investor. Like you can either be a beginner, a intermediate, or an expert. And so a lot of people, they're like, oh, I want to be an expert investor and I want to be investing in crypto and like all of these like crazy stocks. And that is like essentially day trader realm. It's like these are people who studied finance. They spent years learning about this. They spend 24 hours a day like looking at charts and graphs to be able to make money.
Yeah.
And so if we are trying to become an expert investor when we aren't even a good beginner investor, then you're likely not going to be making money. You're probably going to be losing money. And so what I always think about investing is that if you want to maybe get better at investing, start with at the beginning. Start at a beginner. Start with the easiest, simplest strategy when it comes to investing. Once you get comfortable and you familiarize your size with how investing works, then you can start to learn more about investing, but you don't start all the way in the deep end.
Yeah, because like I started investing in 2018. And then when the pandemic came, I was like, ooh, I have so much time to learn about this even more. So 2020, I was learning about it more. I feel like I made some smart plays, right? Not plays, decisions on long-term decision on long-term investments. And then, but my personality is I do like being conservative but risky at the same time. So I started learning about options. But I learned about it and I was like, okay, I'm getting a hang of this. And then I learned about futures. I'm telling folks, do not go to futures right away. Please start at the beginning stage and graduate gradually, because I don't know if you've done futures, but it's no joke.
I haven't done futures, but I've done stock options.
Yeah.
And stock options, if you don't know, even stock options, if you don't know what you're doing, you can lose so much money. Like it's like unbelievable. Like the stakes are like 100 times worse than like investing in individual stocks.
Yeah.
And so that's the reason why when I learned about stock options trading, I decided to hire an investing coach. I literally paid like $6,000 to hire this coach.
Wait, stop. Say it one more time. I just need to hear the number one more time.
I paid $6,000 to hire an investing coach to learn about stock options. But here's the thing. If I didn't hire him, I probably would have lost money when it came to stock options. Probably more than 6,000, to be honest. And now that I learned the skill of how to invest using stock options, I now have the skill for the rest of my life.
Nice.
And I get to make money with it. So the return on investment is already there.
Exactly. So would you recommend folks to do like a master class or investment coaching if they want to graduate to the other level?
Yeah, I think you have to figure out what you value most, right? Because everything is a balance between time and money.
Yeah.
You can learn anything you want in this whole entire world. You can learn how to like do surgery online if you really want, right? Like you can learn how to like, use like the cutting device and like learn how to do surgery. You can do that online. You can.
Michael, you are not going to be my surgeon though.
I don't even know what it's called. A scalpel. Yeah, I watched Grey's Anatomy, guys. So you can literally learn anything,
That is
but
true.
how
That
much
is true.
time is it going to take you?
Mm,
For me, I didn't want to spend hours, probably years, and a lot of money to learn about stock options trading, like money
mm,
I would have lost. And so
nice.
I decided to pay $6,000 instead to learn it in 1 month.
Okay, so you learned it in a month. That's not bad.
Yeah.
But you also have that discipline to not be emotional and be logical. So, because I know there's a couple folks that have got those same training, but they still use that greed and using your emotions with stuff. It really takes a toll on people. So, wow, that's nice. So let's go to, now you've decided to come out the corporate world and have your own business. How did that go about?
So I initially started my coaching business back in 2020 while I was working a corporate job. And
Mm-hmm.
so I've been building my personal brand,
Mm-hmm.
building my coaching programs, getting testimonials, like working with clients for literally 3 years before I went full time in 2023.
Okay, so it didn't happen overnight.
It did not happen overnight.
Mm,
And the thing is, I was always waiting for like that perfect moment. I was like, oh, I need to have this amount in savings and like I need to be making this amount in my business and waiting for literally the perfect moment. And like the goalposts kept on moving, which was
mm,
partially why it took so long. And the trigger that actually got me to quit my full-time job was
mm,
had nothing to do with finances. It was
mm.
actually with my health.
I
So
remember.
yeah, in 2022 or around 2021, I started dealing with a lot of health issues with chronic inflammation, chronic, really, really bad eczema,
Mm,
just like a lot of digestion problems as well. So,
mm,
like, my body was just like in complete disorder. And so, quitting my job was actually partially because I needed to focus on my health, which is at the end of the day, your number one priority. Money doesn't matter if you don't have your health. And
health
so I
is
decided, yeah. And so I decided to quit my job in 2023,
wealth.
primarily for my health. And I moved to Mexico for a few months. And literally within a few weeks in Mexico,
Mhm.
90% of my health issues completely disappeared. Yeah.
Wow. See what happens when you have the nice sun and everything?
I know. See what happens when you have like nice sun, good weather, and the ocean, and like healthy food.
True, because I've been to Mexico as well, and oh, and the tacos are so
Ugh,
yummy.
to die for.
And it is affordable. So I'm glad that you're able to um take your health in consideration and change the environment. How did your family feel about that when you went? Like you're moving to where?
Yeah, they were so scared. And I was scared
Mhm,
too because I
mhm,
was like, people go to Mexico and get food poisoning and they get really sick. And like, I'm already really sick and like going
mhm.
to Mexico.
Yeah.
And the idea of also the norm in our society is to work a 9 to 5 job, buy a house, get into a mortgage, have a family. And
Mhm.
so by completely also disregarding that societal norm,
Yeah.
everyone, like my family members, my like cousins, my aunts, my parents, they're just like, what are you doing? Like this is so weird.
This is not the
And
Canadian dream.
this is not the Canadian dream. What are you doing? And I guess like the way that I was able to still do it was
Mhm.
because I am very clear about what I want in life.
Mm, nice.
I'm very intentional with the life that I want to live. I don't really care about what people will say about me. I don't
Mhm.
care about what my aunts and uncles are going to think about me when I'm not buying a home or having like a family like at 26.
Yeah.
And so I know what I want in life, and
Yeah.
then I set that goal and I
Mhm.
take the actions to achieve those goals. And
Nice.
so I wanted to become a digital nomad ever since I went to Poland back in 2015, where I caught the travel bug. And so
The good
literally
travel bug.
for
The good travel bug.
yeah, the good travel bug, not the food poisoning travel bug. And so in 2015, I was like, this is my goal. I want the freedom to be able to work and travel anywhere in the world because the world is a beautiful place
It
and there's so
is.
many amazing people out there. And so for 8 years, it took me 8 years, but I finally got it.
Wow. And man, it's because I do taxes, so I'm just like reluctant on it. I'm like, but I can't be away during tax season. Oh, oh man. So obviously you do most of your meetings on Zoom or other places.
Yep.
Um, are most of your clients around the world or Canadian based?
So my clients are young professionals, working young
Mm-hmm.
professionals, typically from 20s to 30s. And I
Mm-hmm.
would say about 80% or maybe around 70% of my clients are Canadians. The
Okay,
other
so
30% is from other places in the world. Like I have a client in
mm,
Poland and I have another client in Singapore. And the
what?
reason why I'm able to work with these clients is because money is a pretty universal topic.
True.
Like there's some like intricacies when it comes to like, tax savings accounts or like,
Yeah, yeah.
specific like in like which investing platform to use. But for the
Hmm.
most part, the concept of money is
Yes,
universal. Then
true.
the concepts of how investing markets work, how you should save money and how to network and how to make more money, all of
Mhm.
these things are universal topics, which is why I can work with clients anywhere in the world.
Nice. See, that was always my dilemma because I was always like my thought process was, oh man, so if I go to like let's say Mexico, I was like, oh, I'd have to learn their tax laws and everything just so I could be able
Mhm.
to, and then also speak Spanish fluently.
Hola. Put on
¿Cómo
some
está?
Dora.
So like things like that, but I'm I'm happy that you're able to find, even though you have 70-80% Canadian, it's still nice that you're able to have other people around, like Singapore. Like, imagine if they fly you out there.
I'm actually going to Singapore this next year, or I guess this year in 2024.
Brr, 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 brr. Ooh,
Yeah,
Singapore's
I'm
nice.
going in
Well, the
February.
airport. The airport is really nice.
Oh, you've been
Yellen.
there.
Yeah, I did a layover, so I had
Mm.
the travel bug back in the day as well.
Oh yeah.
But I still have it. I'm just more family, like gotta stay close to the family for now.
Hmm. Yeah, for
For
now.
now. Grr.
So they're off to school or something.
Exactly. Um so so you've been, and when did you go to Mexico? I think I forgot that part.
So I went to Mexico. This was like my first digital nomad trip.
Mhm.
I went to Mexico October 2023, and
Okay.
then I
Okay.
stayed until December.
Okay, nice, nice, nice. And when you going back?
To Mexico?
Yeah.
So I'm not sure when I'll be going back to Mexico because
Mhm.
I'm doing Southeast Asia next year. So I'm flying
Okay.
into Singapore
Oh.
and then I'm going to be traveling all around Southeast Asia. So I'm going to Thailand,
Mhm.
Vietnam, probably
Mhm.
Bali,
Oh
Indonesia.
gosh.
So yeah.
Sorry. I shouldn't have said oh gosh to Bali, but you have to check my travel story because that's, but it is a beautiful place. Everyone I know that has gone to Bali has had an amazing experience. It's just
Yeah.
I was fortunate or unfortunate enough not to. But you'll have you'll have a beautiful time, like Thailand, Vietnam, Bali, Philippines. Hopefully you're able to go to the
Oh, yeah.
Philippines.
I heard the beaches there are like the nicest. Like
Beautiful.
incredible.
Beautiful.
Okay.
Yeah.
I need to add that like to my
Yes, yes.
itinerary.
Just be careful. Don't drink the ice or don't have ice.
Mm.
um and so I know that the reason for this path was because of family and friends and helping family and friends. What advice would you give anyone that wants to get into like the finance world?
I would say the first advice that I would give is that money management at the end of the day is a skill, as I talked about before, and it's a skill that can be learned. Just like any sort of skill, like for example, going back to the swimming analogy, if you aren't taught how to swim, I'm sorry, Camille, you're a good example, then you're not
You know
going to
what
learn, you're not going to know how to swim.
the joke is that I did take swimming lessons, but there was always a time when I missed one day and they would never let me go to the next level. I'm like, oh, come on. But I know how to sort of swim. So,
Hmm.
but yes, you're right. You're right. Having the opportunity to learn how to swim or take swimming lessons is essential, for certain things. Or it's like cooking. Like
Mhm.
if you don't know how to boil eggs or make rice, good luck.
Yeah.
Right?
And so yeah, just like anything, like anything that we do when it comes to cooking or swimming, these are all skills that we don't know initially. We're not born how to do these things. We need
Exactly.
to spend time and energy to learn how to do them. And
Exactly.
the reason why a lot of people struggle with money is because our parents don't want to talk about money and we
Mm-hmm.
don't teach money in school. So then that's the reason why a lot of people struggle with their personal finances. But
Mm-hmm.
if you want to be able to have control over your money so
Mm-hmm.
that you can have control over your life, then all you need to do is start learning about money. And
Exactly.
when it comes to money management, I break it down into three main skills. You need
Mm-hmm.
to, if you want to be an expert or effectively able to manage your money, you
Mm-hmm.
need to be able to make money, save
Mm-hmm.
it, and invest it. Those are the three main skills. And if you can do all three,
Boom, bam, bam.
the world's your oyster. You can literally do anything that you want.
That's very true. I like how you said that. I like that concept. I like to always tell folks like if you get the habit of saving, then you'll be able to graduate into investing because you'll constantly be like, "Oh, let me pay myself first. Oh, let me pay myself first," and then be like, "Oh, so what do I do with this money that I paid myself first? Oh, I should invest it so I can be able to have compound interest and see millions of dollars in the future, right?"
Yeah.
Um,
The reason why I came up with these three skills specifically is
mhm,
because you can't achieve financial freedom or like have good finances without all three. For
true.
example, if you're like Warren Buffett and you are an amazing investor, like you're like, so good at investing, like you know exactly which stocks to pick. Well, if
Yeah,
you don't have any money because you don't make it and you spend it all, then you're not going to have any money to invest.
exactly.
And the same goes the opposite way. You can be really good at making money. I know a lot of my clients, they're like, like some of them are doctors. They're literally making multiple six figures, and
Yeah.
yet they're still living paycheck to paycheck because they don't know how to save money and they aren't able to invest their money. So they have to work until they're like 60 or 65.
Golly. Yeah. Ugh. Are there any books that you recommend for folks to read when it comes to because I remember you had a different approach was like 5 steps, but then they're like, maybe I gotta go give them like educate them in a way. So which books do you recommend? Let's see if it's the
Mhm.
same books I hear all the time.
Yeah, I'm gonna say the most like mainstream one because it was the book that really started my personal finance journey. I read Rich Dad Poor Dad in
Hmm.
university, and
Nice.
that book really changed my perspective. There's lots of controversy about the author and like some of the things that he says, but like for the most part, if you look at it with like an open perspective and an
Yeah.
open eyes,
Hmm.
there's a lot of things that he says that lets gets you to think about why are rich people rich and
Yeah.
why are poor people continuing to be poor.
True.
And it isn't it isn't anything like, yeah, I think it was just very eye-opening when I read that book. I'm like, oh my gosh, that makes so much sense.
I
And
know. I have to
it's
brush
true.
up
Like
on
after taking like so many tax courses in university and a lot of personal finance courses, it's like,
that.
wow, like we kind of have an inside view of like what rich people do, what corporations do to keep their money,
Mm-hmm.
while middle class and poor people are just kind of like
Going with
don't
the
really know
flow.
what they're doing, where their finance is. And I guess like one of the concepts I think from the book is that like money at the end of the day is a game. And you can either learn the rules of the game and play it,
Mm-hmm.
or you could not learn the rules and have no idea what you're doing. It's
What'd you
like
say,
playing a
game?
game of Monopoly.
I,
Sorry?
I was just thinking about Monopoly when you said game. I was like, is this
Yeah.
like when we used to play Monopoly?
Exactly. Imagine trying to play Monopoly when you have no idea how to play the game. Like, what is the purpose of the game? Like, do I buy properties? Like, maybe you're just like rolling the dice and like that's literally all you do. And then you go into debt because you don't have any more money. And so that's the way that most people play the game of life.
Yeah,
And it's very
it's
sad.
it's very very sad, and I know that I feel like you've learned so much in a short span. But I always ask folks, what are the three things you wish you knew about money when you were younger? I know you're young-ish, but I'm pretty sure there was something you wish you knew like back in the day.
So I would say the first thing that I wish I knew is
Mhm.
that I kind of said this before, but money allows you to become the best version of yourself. Money is not evil. Money is not like people who have money are not greedy. I used to hate
Oh.
rich people because I was so jealous of them. I was like, wow, it must be nice to like own that house or like not have to worry about your finances. But
Mhm.
like when you believe that money allows you to become the best version of yourself, then you can actually strive for that future and strive for that future where you are financially abundant, where you're able to be so good with your finances that you don't even have to take care of yourself or worry about yourself anymore, that you
Yeah.
can start to now give back into the world. And so I feel like if I learned that a bit sooner, I would have been a lot more, I would have had a happier childhood. I feel.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Fair enough. Fair enough. And was that all three? Or I think yeah, I guess you said them.
I said one. I
Okay,
would say
okay. Yes.
the second thing is that I believe that personal finance
Mhm.
is personal. We're
Mm.
all
Mhm.
so unique. We have different
Yes.
personalities. We come from different financial situations. We have different financial goals and lives that we want to live. And so what your friend might do for their personal finances is going to look completely different from what you do with your personal finances. And so
Mhm.
that's the reason why it's so important for you to learn how to effectively manage your money, learn how to
Yes.
make, save, and invest your money, because then you know how to make the best financial decision for
Mhm.
your unique personal finance situation. Because there's a lot of people that are going to tell you what you should do. Your parents are going to tell you to buy a house, and
Mhm.
your sister is going to tell you to, go on vacation or whatever. But only
Yes.
you know what you want. And so that's the reason why you are the best person to make your own financial decision. Only if you know how to effectively manage your money.
The
And the
money note
last thing is a thing that I've said this whole
time.
podcast episode, but money
Yeah.
management is a skill that can be
Mhm.
learned. And if you spend time and energy to learn the skill, you will be able to have control over your money and your life.
Exactly. Nice. And Michael, what? Well, I know you're going to be going on a Southeast Asian trip. I'm semi jealous, but I will be
I
watching your stories for
I will
sure.
ask for all of your recommendations after
Yes, yes,
this.
yes,
I need to hear
absolutely.
all your stories.
Oh my gosh. um, what is some adventures or oh my gosh, why am I what other avenues are you planning to do in the future with your business?
So in 2023, I recently started my YouTube channel. So I
Ah,
was
yes,
so
yes,
excited
yes.
to start that because YouTube is something that I've always wanted to start, but I was like, oh, I don't have the time, and like it's like very time consuming. But I started it because I want to be able to help more people with their personal finances.
Mm-hmm.
And so if you guys are listening, make sure to follow me on
Yes,
YouTube at
I'm
Michael
about
Lee Kim.
I'm gonna get your information so we can. I'm gonna post it just now. Because I think having different sources of YouTube channels is very essential, especially in Toronto or Canada, because we're so used to seeing the American based information about personal finance. So I'm glad you were able to take the opportunity to start your YouTube channel. And yes, for sure, check it out. Hold on, I was trying to I was trying to write to you at the same time.
Yeah, I can't multitask, so don't worry.
I was like, let me try. But yeah, and so you have the YouTube channel. It's going to be very exciting when you're traveling at the same time. Trust me,
Yeah,
it gets difficult.
one of the reasons why I decided to start the YouTube channel, more so for a selfish reason, is because I wanted to also document my travels. I've been
Nice.
to quite a few places, like I've been to Poland,
Mhm.
Switzerland, Japan, Korea, but I never
Okay.
actually like took a video or like compiled a
Mm.
nice video of this experience. So I don't
Mm.
really remember too much.
Oh
And
no.
so looking back, want to like document all of these travels because one day I'm
Yeah,
going to look back and be like, oh, there's Michael when he was, you know, a little boy running around the world, and it's like so many great memories to have.
it is. Trust me, like literally. So, gosh, it's been 10 years since I was in Korea, and I
Ooh.
get the information. Yeah, at your age, basically, at your age at this moment, I look at back, or like my Google photos usually tells me like 10 years ago. I was like, when life was so
Little
easy.
Camille.
They're like, "Sungsang님." I was like, "네." But it's like, yeah, having those moments and looking at those memories, it's worth it. It is very
Yeah.
worth it. So I can't wait to see all those documents and stuff. And and how can the folks find you, Michael? Because I you know what? One thing I like to do is share people's information, and just to, as much as possible, for folks to get as much information as they can about personal finance, whether it's me, you, or anyone else, especially in Canada. So how
Amazing.
can
Yeah. So you guys can find me on Instagram at Michael Lee Kim. So it's Michael Kim, just two
okay,
E's.
yeah,
And that is also my handle on YouTube as well. So you can find me on
okay,
Instagram, YouTube. And if you want to learn more about my coaching programs, you can go to www.michaelleekim.com
awesome.
forward slash coaching.
Hold on, let me try to do this. At least the IG. I'll try to get that IG at least.
Yeah. If
But
you just do Michael
afterwards,
Lee Kim, yeah,
mhm,
that's good.
afterwards I will put it in the chat so they'll be able to follow you and everything. And yeah, is there any last thing you want to tell the folks before we wrap up, especially for the new year? Whew. I think I got it right.
I would say I would end with when you have control over your money, you get to
Hmm.
choose the life that you live.
Mm. Nice, 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 nice. I actually love that. That is very true. And then you'll be able to relieve stress in your life and your family and friends' life. So that is a great note. And Michael, I know it took us a while to get this done, but I'm so happy that you are here, and I can't wait to have experience or like stories with you, especially like some places to check out, especially in Thailand or Bali. But thank you again. folks, it's a new year, and let's try to get our money management into check, and learn a skill like swimming, like I will be. So thank
If that's the one thing you take away, learn how to swim.
Hey, learn how to swim, y'all.
It will save your life one day.
Exactly. And folks, make sure you like, comment, share with a friend, and all that great stuff, and learn how to swim. Okay? And learn how to invest as well. And
Thank
on
you so
that
much,
note,
Camille.
yes, thank you so much, Michael. On that note, folks,
I just wanna be free with my people to prosper and hold it down. Don't you sit and wait, contemplating on a revolution. The time is now. I just wanna be free. I just wanna be free. I just wanna be free.